Sammy Hagar, the hard-rocking singer whose powerful voice and magnetic stage presence helped define an era of rock and roll, has declared in no uncertain terms that he will never reunite musically with drummer Alex Van Halen, despite reconnecting with Eddie Van Halen before the legendary guitarist's death. Hager's comments, made in a recent interview, offer a rare glimpse into the lasting tensions between the two musicians and the fractured legacy of their time together in the iconic band Van Halen. Hager, 78, rose to fame as the lead vocalist during what many fans call the Van Hagar era, a period from the mid-1980s to the mid-1990s when he succeeded original frontman David Lee Roth. Together with Eddie Van Halen on guitar, his brother Alex on drums, and bassist Michael Anthony, Hager helped push Van Halen to new commercial heights, producing hit albums and sold-out tour. Yet despite their shared success, his relationship with Alex deteriorated decades ago and, according to Hager, has never recovered. "I'm the biggest Pink Floyd fan," Hager told Classic Rock magazine in a recent interview, drawing a parallel to the infamous rift between Pink Floyd members David Gilmour and Roger Waters. "I see David Gilmour say, 'I will never play with Roger Waters again,' and I know what he means," Hager said. "I feel that way about Alex Van Halen." He described Alex as a negative person and reinforced his belief that there's no path back to collaboration between them. The two rock veterans have not spoken for more than 20 years, Hager noted, a silence that underscores just how deep the divide has become. "We haven't spoken in over 2 decades, he confirmed, emphasizing that the gap between them isn't simply professional but deeply personal. Hager's stance highlights a broader pattern of long-standing tensions surrounding Van Halen's lineup changes and interpersonal conflicts. The band's history has been marked by shifts in membership, creative disagreements, and occasional bitter disputes, from the departure of David Lee Roth in the 1980s to the later exit of Hager himself, and even the exclusion of original bassist Michael Anthony from later reunions. Despite the acrimony with Alex, Hager has spoken with warmth about his reconnection with Eddie Van Halen, the band's iconic guitarist and his longtime friend. The two managed to reconcile before Eddie's death in 2020, and Hager has described that closure as deeply meaningful. "Burying the hatchet with Eddie before he died meant everything to me," he said, acknowledging the emotional importance of their final conversations. Yet even as Hager embraces his role in Van Halen's legacy, performing songs from the Van Hagar catalog in his own shows and collaborations, he has grown increasingly critical of Alex's refusal to engage. Part of the friction appears rooted in personal choices Alex has made since stepping back from music. Reports indicate he no longer plays drums regularly and has pursued other creative directions, including a recent project with Steve Lukather of Toto fame, rather than revisiting his Van Halen days. Hager's comments also touch on broader disputes within the extended Van Halen family of musicians. As recently as this month, Hager and former bandmate Michael Anthony confirmed they have not been asked to participate in a new archival project spearheaded by Alex Van Halen, a move that appears to symbolically reinforce Alex's desire to keep control of the band's legacy separate from the so-called Van Hagar years. For fans, the public airing of these long-standing grievances is a reminder of how complicated legacy rock bands can be, especially when decades of success are intertwined with personal disagreements and shifting artistic visions. Musicians often evolve, both personally and professionally, and the end of creative collaboration does not always lead to lasting friendship. In this case, Hager's frank statements make clear that he does not foresee a reunion, not for a tour, not for a tribute, not even for a one-off performance. Hager's reference to Pink Floyd underscores just how irreparable some artistic relationships can become. The Gilmour-Waters split has been one of rock's most enduring feuds, with each artist carving out his own path long after their early work together. By comparing his situation with Alex Van Halen to that storied rift, Hager suggests a similar finality. Certain musical partnerships, once broken, simply cannot be mended. This isn't the first time Hager has spoken candidly about his fractured relationship with his former bandmates. In past interviews and in his memoir, he recounted logistical and personal disagreements dating back to the band's final tour together, including issues over side projects and his own business ventures outside the band. Those tensions contributed to his departure from Van Halen in the mid-1990s, and have lingered unspoken and unresolved for years. At the same time, his ongoing work in music, including recent tour and collaborative projects, shows that Hager continues to celebrate the legacy of his years with Van Halen while forging ahead on his own terms. By acknowledging the irreparable nature of some relationships, he appears less interested in digging up old wounds, and more focused on embracing the positive experiences he shared with Eddie and others who supported him throughout his career. For rock fans who grew up with Van Halen's anthems, Hager's recent comments serve as both a sobering reminder of how fractious creative partnerships can become, and a testament to the enduring impact of the music they made together. Whether it's the bombastic energy of tracks from the Van Hager era, or the powerful emotional resonance they struck with audiences around the world, the legacy of that collaboration remains significant, even if the musicians themselves have moved in different directions. As Hager himself puts it, there's nothing left for him and Alex Van Halen to resolve through music. After decades of silence and irreconcilable differences, he says he has closed that chapter for good, a decision that reinforces the personal nature of artistic relationships and the reality that not all reunions are meant to happen.